Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the Couch Co-op podcast. I'm Riley, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host.
My name's Cal. How are we doing?
Yeah, I am great. My weekend was definitely very awesome because of one thing, but we'll get to that in a minute. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. I I was anticipating something all weekend. I think it's the same thing. I think
Yeah,
we are going to talk about it, and
yeah.
I think we're both going to have a great time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But before we get to the main event, though, we are, of course, referencing the Wings of Redemption versus Boogie 2988 fight.
Yeah.
That that fight was awesome. It was a spectacle. It didn't go the way that I thought it would. That's for sure. Going and looking back at our predictions, that was just I was proven wrong, and I'm glad I was. I'll just say that. Um, but before we get to that, though, I want to talk about the fight before that. Korn versus Unbear, I think. And Korn is like a Twitter personality. Unbear is some other smaller personality. And their fight was really, really embarrassing. I will say that. Did you watch their fight at all or see any clips of it?
So I only watched the main event.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
didn't watch I didn't watch no undercards in this fight.
Yeah. So I'll just go through this then. So like the fight was basically two zombies fighting each other. They were like in slow motion punching each other. It's like they smoked weed or something right before the fight, and they were just wasted and tired. It was like they were sleepwalking fighting, and like honestly, Unbear did take the W. He won the fight there, but also I don't think he deserved it. I think it was at best it should have been a draw because they they just looked so worn out, even more worn out than Wings and Boogie. Like how,
Really?
yeah, it was that bad. But yeah, the other two fights before that weren't that interesting. I didn't really know any of the creators out of those four, but yeah. But the Wings of Redemption versus Boogie fight was something to behold. I want to hear what you have to think about it.
So, like you said, our predictions were very wrong.
Hmm.
I don't even remember. Maybe you can refresh my mind. I want to say, did we say a second round someone would go down?
Uh,
If I'm remember, that's what I'm remembering. I think we predicted second round, and Boogie would knock Wings down, and he wouldn't get back up. Is kind
hmm
of what I'm remembering.
Yeah.
Which we couldn't have been. We were halfway right. We got the round right,
Yeah.
but man, I think I did actually after I watched it, I did go look through some of the comments, and everyone was saying the same thing about the fight. That 10 years makes a big difference. When I don't even know how old Boogie is. He's around 50, I want to say. The
Yeah.
difference of a 50-year-old overweight, out of shape man fighting a 40-year-old overweight, out of shape man. It really showed there. And I think, I was wanting Boogie to come out swinging,
hmm
and I don't know if he actually landed a single punch.
he kind of tapped Wings on the head,
Yeah.
but like once, but it was nothing compared to what Wings was doing, man. Man, I am so proud of him. I can't lie, man. He came out swinging and didn't stop swinging. Like it was just a bombardment of punches to Boogie, and props to Boogie too. He looked away with his eyes closed or whatever, but like he stayed standing. He didn't want to give up, even though the ref called him out and called the fight, but still, like he was like what Wing said in his post fight interview. Boogie is just an Iron Man, a man of steel. That whole match, just absorbing punch after punch. Yeah, it was very entertaining. And
Yeah, I
then
I was oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. And then I think like about halfway through round one, Boogie had to get his shorts taped with masking tape around his stomach because his shorts started to fall off while Wings was laying into him. So the ref paused the fight. Boogie came back to his corner, and his buddy, whoever it was started wrapping tape around him to keep his shorts up, and that was pretty funny.
That definitely, like, if the fight wasn't iconic enough already, that will cement this in meme lore for the eternity. You know,
Definitely.
I thought that it was great. You know, I thought it was great that they did it, that Keemstar put it on. I think everybody, me included, are so tired of the celebrity bouts that really don't mean anything. You get a couple of guys in there that don't know what they're doing, but this one was different. Like, this one, I feel like actually was for the community more than just for ego. And I really like that. And I respect both of those guys for getting in there. You know, we can laugh about it. And I was watching just some clips of people. I think it was the Vanos crew. Yeah, it was the Vanos crew, and they were just laughing about it, you know, kind of memeing on it.
Hmm.
But the truth of the matter is, you know, huge props to both of those fighters for getting in there because, you know, on any given day they're lucky to just get up on their feet, and I think that you know, I think that's a huge thing and to be respected, and it shows how much Boogie lost weight too because his
Oh yeah.
shorts wouldn't stay on him.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely put in the work, and I think the work paid off for both of them, even though Boogie did lose. And like I think that fight was like the best fight of the entire night. It was constant action in the ring, not like the first two where they're like I I don't like when like a whole boxing match is just them like hugging each other and like just circling around, and it's just kind of boring, right? But like Wings, as soon as Boogie and Wings did their walkouts, man, Wings' walkout was so awesome. I loved his walkout. He was rapping. I don't know if it was his song or some other song. I didn't recognize it, but he was walking down the stage rapping the words to a song. He was like such a showboat, showing off his cardio and his lung capacity, you know. And then someone opens the ropes for him. He ducks down and gets it with no problem. I'm like, wow, this is gonna be a good one, man. And like his shirt was Psycho Dad, McJuggerNuggets dad. I'm not quite sure what the relevance is to Boogie, but and then Boogie's walkout was also, it was interesting. Of course they see me rolling, they hating. Why
Yep.
not? Great song choice. With the same shirt that Frank Castle showed up to his house with the gun, the infamous gun clip. He was wearing that same shirt. That was pretty funny.
I did not notice that.
Oh yeah,
That is awesome.
yeah. But yeah, Wings of Redemption. For the redemption, I was
Wings
hoping
of
for
Redemption,
it.
Redemption.
Yeah. Wings sounds like actually pretty positive now. During his like post fight interviews and whatnot. Um, I just hope that the two of them can like go on a successful path and like keep this momentum going of weight loss and positivity in their careers. Because even though Boogie lost, I still see him getting like lots of props from different people for even showing up. You know, staying in the ring, staying in the fight. So yeah, I hope that they take this well and continue with it.
Yeah, which I think for Boogie is, I don't know Wings of Redemption as well as I know Boogie's kind of story, but I think for Boogie especially, it's a huge redemption arc because for so long he's been such a, I don't even know what you say, outcast, a pariah of the YouTube society. You know, he used to be really popular 10-ish years ago, whatever it was.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, I think it was depression. You know, he went downhill fast. He started losing followers. He lost subscribers. He lost, he was one of the big name personalities on YouTube. So I think for him, I really am happy that he did it because I do think that, like you said, continue on the weight loss journey. And he seemed really positive after the fight. I think he was a little disappointed that it got called when it did. And
Mhm.
he kind of was like, come on,
Yeah.
which uh, I don't I don't know really what the ref's looking for there. I don't know if it's like responsiveness. I'm not really sure what they actually look for
Me
when
neither.
they call a fight like that. But he looked okay, but I think the ref was just worried he was going to get pretty hurt because
Yeah.
those are big heavy blows that Wings was throwing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. It seems like Boogie's face the entire fight was like because he just like kept his eyes closed because Wings just would not let him have the chance to hit him. It was an awesome fight. Definitely something that I'll be watching again.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But
That is
yeah,
great.
yeah,
Yeah, Boogie I think looked scared. Where Wings I think definitely won the intimidation game. Because right from the start, and maybe that's just how Boogie looks, I don't know, but he looked scared right from the get-go. And then as soon as he started getting hit, he flinched a lot. Like you said, he kept his eyes closed and he just kind of turned his head the rest of the fight. And at one point he almost turns all the way around so that Wings is punching him in the back of the head and the ref's like, "Hey, turn around. Don't turn around."
yeah, yeah.
So,
Well,
I don't know if you're going to mention it, but the way they showed up on the golf carts,
oh yeah,
or the go-karts rather, sorry.
like, well, scooters that you use for like
Yeah.
old people at the
Like the
grocery
mobility
store.
scooters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was pretty funny to see them racing around on those.
Boogie, I hear Boogie did win that race.
Yeah.
So, props to him for winning one of them.
Yeah, definitely. But honestly, like at the very beginning when like Boogie got in the ring and he was locking eyes with Wings, honestly Boogie looked like pretty like menacing. Like he was ready to go, and then like he was just like shocked by like
Yeah.
how like Wings was actually performing, and he's like, whoa, wait a second, that's not what I expected at all. So yeah, definitely a wake up call for everyone.
Yeah, and I think too, not to get too much sciencey stuff here. I have a pretty strong background in exercise science. That's actually what I majored in. And looking at them as they were fighting, the body composition of both of them, you could tell Boogie has been overweight a lot longer. I mean, he's 10 years older, so obviously. But looking at his legs, like his legs had no definition where you looked at Wings of Redemption's like calves, for instance, and you couldn't really see Boogie's because he had like tights on, but
Yeah.
you could tell that Wings of Redemption definitely has more muscle to him than Boogie
Oh,
does. And so that also plays a huge role in it when you're 400 ish. I think they were both around 4. I think Boogie was a little less, but I think that also played a huge role in it. Is Wings definitely has some more muscle to his build, where Boogie is just a little more fluffy. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember there's this one clip from a Low Tier God, if you know who that is. He's a long story short, he's a popular fighting game personality that has a similar track record of like Wings of Redemption, Boogie, or like DSP. He's an internet personality that people don't want anything to do with, pretty much. So
Okay, yeah.
but yeah, I heard him talking about how he wants to Wings his legs because they're just like pure muscle, and he has like chicken legs. But like, but he's like super like buff from like the waist up, Which so that's kind of funny. Side note though, I actually heard that Keemstar is actually looking for an opponent for Low Tier God. So yeah, you might want to brush up on his history too, because that will be an interesting lead up and fight if that actually ends up happening. So
I
Yeah.
hope that happens.
oh yeah. Anything
I think
else?
I think
you
there's
wanna-
enough. Just kind of riffing off of that. I think there's enough YouTube personalities that have kind of been outcast that we could keep this going for another couple of years. Honestly,
Oh yeah, definitely.
you get EDP in there.
I don't know about that, but
No. It's great. You put him with someone that will just, to put it mildly, just punch him in the face a few times.
you can put him in the ring with what's that guy's name? The redhead who caught him trying to meet up with that 13-year-old girl.
I don't know the name.
Yeah, I forget his name, but yeah, they're obviously EDP is bigger, but they're both of similar size. You know,
Right.
you can make it work. Yeah,
Sorry, that's I'm throwing a little personal feelings in there on that one. So, but yeah, no, I overall I would give the fight a 9 out of 10. I wish it went a little longer, but I don't think you could have asked for a better outcome for what it was, really.
yeah. I mean, Boogie has been saying like all throughout this whole process is that he was ready to die in that ring if it came to it. So I'm sure he was like super disappointed when the ref called
Yeah,
it. That had to be a tough one to take.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the fight was phenomenal. It was easily the best fight of the night. I didn't watch like the KSI fight or whatever after that, or the the pay per view stuff. I, I,
Yeah, I didn't.
yeah.
I didn't either. I didn't know there was three fights. I thought there was just the KSI and the Boogie and Wings.
Oh no, I think there was a few more after that even, but just on the
Gotcha.
pay per view system. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing fight.
Oh man. So, I going along the same topic. Is there two YouTubers you would pay to watch fight, or not? Two, I would say, internet people you would pay to watch fight.
Two internet people that I would pay to watch fight. Do you have one? I have to think about that.
Um, no.
Hmm.
I was just a quick thought that popped into my mind.
It's just off the top of my head. I would say. I would say. Obviously, it isn't really like a similar like scale, but maybe like uh, Doctor Disrespect and Tim the Tap Man. I think that would be a fun one because they play like Call of Duty or whatever together, and they're always butting heads, and that would be a fun match I think to see them get in the ring.
That would be a fun one.
Yeah.
The one I thought of actually was going to be Doctor Disrespect as well, but Tyler won.
So, Tyler won. Yeah. Jeez.
Have you seen the clips of them roasting each other?
No, but I have seen the clips of Tyler screaming at the top of his lungs and like throwing a plate of spaghetti or something, just being an absolute nuisance to anyone in his vicinity.
We what we should do is we should find some. I will come next time with some Tyler One clips
Okay.
because I think people sleep on him, but
Hmm.
he is a monster. I mean, you look at his build, and he's
Yeah.
a big guy.
Hmm.
But there's a clip of him, and I'll find it at I think it's TwitchCon. I'm not sure which one of the Twitch streamer like conferences it is, but he basically solos. As nobody on his team is helping, he basically solos an entire game of tug of war against a whole other opposing team.
Really?
The guy is an actual monster.
Wow. Huh. Yeah.
When he's not, throwing spaghetti at the wall or
Yeah.
breaking a keyboard over his head or something. So
Hmm. Yeah. Maybe maybe this would be a better pair up. Asmongold and Shroud. I think they're kind of a similar build. They they look more similar. Like they're both kind of
yeah,
skinny and pale. Maybe that would be somewhat of an even match if you can get Asmongold out of his attic. That is.
I don't know if you would. Yeah, yeah, that would be a good one too.
Yeah, it's kind of tough for me to like match up like internet creators because I have like a small set of people that I watch, and like I kind of like close my mind out from like I don't know, like the bigger people like KSI, Logan Paul, all those different
Yeah,
cryptocurrency dudes that have scammed people.
scammers. let's just finally settle it about which brother is better and put the Paul brothers in there.
Yeah,
Let
actually,
them
yeah,
duke it out. Honestly,
yeah.
they both have big egos. They both want to prove that they're an actual boxer. Just let them go.
Mm-hmm. Definitely,
That's
I'd
mine. That's
watch
my
that.
fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think a lot of people would watch that.
yeah,
Well, anyways,
yeah, man. But yeah, I haven't really watched a lot of boxing besides like this fight. I used to watch Conor McGregor back when he first, debuted in the UFC, and that's, then he kind of started losing a bunch, and like not just myself but my mom also, like we just kind of fell out of it. So,
yeah,
but yeah, it was fun to watch that shenanigans for a little bit.
yeah. He was a wild man, dude. You
Mhm.
never knew what he was gonna do.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's already a wild group of people,
Mhm.
like just crazy people you threw in the ring together. But he was like the next level of wild. Like everyone was scared of what he was gonna do next.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then he definitely fell off.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did he get injured? I think he
Uh
got injured, right? Is
yeah, I
that
think
kind of
he
what
did.
happened?
I think he did, yeah. There's this the I saw this one time on another podcast where Conor McGregor had a custom watch made where if he like took the face of it off or like flipped it up, he has this like the motions of him and his girlfriend sleeping with each other, and so like he just pop it off and say, check it out guys. It's just the most random thing ever, but like why not?
Why not? Yeah,
Yeah,
random.
he's definitely been one of my favorites to watch though. He's also very entertaining, I think.
Yeah, I actually haven't watched a lot of. He's probably the only professional type fighter I can actually name. I don't actually know a lot of them,
Yeah, me
which
neither.
which is kind of weird to me because you would think that there would be more big names in it, but I think there's just so many people
Yeah.
involved in it.
Mm-hmm. All right. If you're ready to switch off of the boxing talk, do you have a topic or?
So, yes, let's talk because we kind of left it off here. I want to dive back into our conspiracy theories.
Okay. I personally haven't really had much time to like think or like research much about mine. But I'll just go off what I know about what I was gonna say anyway. But you can go ahead.
Okay, so I have some facts pulled up here.
Oh, here we
I'll
go.
just I'll just kind of reference it. So I did a little digging into mine, which essentially was, and there's a TV show based off of it. I believe it's called Hunters X or X Hunters. I'm not sure which it is. It's one of the two, where essentially Hitler doesn't do himself in at the end of World War II. He escapes to South America. I'm still not sure. I think it's Brazil. I believe
Mm-hmm.
it's Brazil, but it's one of the South America countries. And he happily lives his life out there. He has a bunch of other, leaders from his army that have escaped with him. But I did a little research into it, and there's not a good way to share this. I will have to send you the picture after the fact. We still need to work on that.
Yeah.
But I guess back in that time period, the United States Secret Service had worked on mock ups of Hitler without hair and without a mustache. They were prepared for him, or according to what I found, anyways. I don't want to spread any false information about it, but they were prepared that for the event, or rather the potential event of him trying to escape to South America by shaving off his, I don't want to say iconic, but his because that's not a good way to say it. But you know what
No.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
His
His infamous
his
mustache.
infamous, that's the word I was looking for. His infamous mustache and his hair And honestly, I mean, I know there's pictures out there of like people with and without facial hair and actual, a head of hair.
Mm-hmm.
But you wouldn't recognize him. And it's crazy because the Secret Service back then, again, supposedly was preparing for it. But what people are saying actually happened was because there was immediately after World War II ended, and he did what he did to himself, not getting too graphic on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, his body and his wife's body, I believe, is the lady that was with him, were cremated. And a big reason why people believed that he had escaped was because they didn't find any remains from him at that time, which at that point in time was really limited to just the dental records. That's the only way, because this is way before DNA was able to be used to identify people. So basically, that's what people were basing this theory on. But I guess it's been pretty thoroughly debunked at this point. Supposedly, Russian soldiers came in and they kind of grabbed what they could find at the house, like the remains and all that stuff. And supposedly they took them and they buried them somewhere else. But an interesting theory that I don't think anyone wants to believe is true. If it was, like I said, it would be one of the craziest, things that we believed that happened that didn't actually happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like from the research I did, it's pretty proven to be false.
Mm-hmm.
Which also means yours is false, unfortunately. He's not hiding behind the ice wall
Oh no.
with the Night King.
Yeah.
But crazy theory, but looks pretty false at this point. Not that I really believed it. It's conspiracy theory for a reason, but
Yeah. Well,
So the world is still round. He's not
unfortunately.
alive. So.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Anyways, before I forgot, I wanted to update you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, before I go into my turn on the Hitler conspiracy theory podcast that we have here, we nah, just people just run with the craziest things and just go with it. Like how does a conspiracy theory start? Does it start with someone being like, I seriously believe this, or like, I wonder if I could trick this person into thinking that this is true, and then it'll spread like wildfire.
That's an interesting thought, and I guess I haven't actually thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But that is interesting because I think it could go either way. Like looking back, I'll use an example I can actually use and relate to. Going back to, and I'm sorry for anyone that's not Call of Duty Zombies fans, but early Call of Duties and early internet, there were theories about secret bosses on some of the main maps that you could do.
The
And
Hitler
you had
boss,
to-
round
the
100,
Hitler
Nocturne
boss.
Totem.
Yep, the Hitler boss on Nocturne Totem. And also the Samantha boss ghost on Deriza
Haven't heard
or
of
the
that one.
Giant, whichever one. Yeah, see, that's an old one. I remember reading about that like years ago. But there was also a channel, and I can't remember. I think it was Jimbathy. I think.
Probably.
Do you know this channel?
Oh yeah, yeah.
He does all the memes like secret ray gun found on Shadows of Evil.
Just a bunch of
Like all those-
clickbait.
Yeah, just clickbait stuff. And I think that honestly, conspiracy theories were boomer clickbait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's where it started, man. I think people were like, what's gonna sell? Oh, everybody hated this guy. Let's start this theory about how he escaped to Brazil,
Yeah.
and all these boomers will will just they'll eat it up. They'll completely eat it up. Same with aliens,
Oh yeah.
which actually, I mean, aliens is an interesting topic we haven't
Oh yeah.
delved into yet.
Nah. No, man.
Maybe we will.
Yeah, for sure. It's a podcast. We have to talk about aliens.
But that's my my take on it is I think every theory or rumor has just the tiniest, maybe some more than others, but has the tiniest grain of truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the one I mentioned, you know, his remains weren't found. And from there that turns into, well, there actually was some people associated with him that ended up in South America, and that's a true thing. So by, you know, by the rule of logic, he had to have been with them, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that that is a good representation of how these things actually start,
Yeah.
I would say. And I think clickbait has a lot to do with it. I think news media in general has a lot to do with that,
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
personally.
Yeah.
Maybe clicks is a better way to say it, but I
Mm-hmm.
think you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So the conspiracy theory that I kind of teased last weekend, I honestly don't know that much about, but I heard it from Alex Jones, and it was so out there that I couldn't not talk about it. Um, so it has to
Hey,
do
frogs.
not not yet, not quite.
Okay.
um,
Sorry.
no, you're good.
No,
So
I love Alex Jones as a meme. Like he's one of
yeah.
my favorites,
Hmm.
like memes of all time.
Especially when you get him
Don't get
talking,
me started. Yeah.
he just can't stop. No, no matter what it's about. Especially this. It's so he went on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking about how Hillary Clinton and a bunch of other, you know, wealthy people, Democrats, whatever, go to somewhere in the woods and for like a weekend or something, and they go to this big like pyre that's built like an owl, and they light it on fire, and it's some kind of like ritual. I don't know if it's a sacrifice thing, but it's some kind of ritual that is very interesting, and it makes me wonder if that is where the Court of Owls for Batman came from, because that's like a, you know, like a comic villain of Batman's is the Court of Owls, and that's kind of what that reminds me of, is that like, why are they going way into the woods, or is that even happening at all? Like, I don't know. It's just a strange thing that I think that I should go more deeper into. Yeah, like I said,
So so
yeah. Go
so
ahead.
no, you're good. And that I'm glad you brought that up because that's an interesting one because I remember, I believe I remember that conversation on the podcast.
Really? Yeah.
And the basic idea behind it was taking politicians and basically compromising them by getting dirt on them at this meetup or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
by basically getting them to do things that would either get them thrown in prison or would ruin their reputation
Hmm.
by recording them doing stuff. But the trade-off there is that they are given, you know, political power, and they're guaranteed to have political power for the rest of their career as long as they stay in line.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
that's an interesting one.
Yeah. Like I said, I have to look more into it, but yeah, definitely an interesting one.
So going with that, what do you think? Without getting like, I mean, I don't want to get too crazy here, but
Hmm.
it's also a podcast, so
Yeah. um, it's I just want something like this to actually be true. Just so that there is a theory out there that is so bonkers that it actually is true. Like someone fly a plane over and take some like, or like satellite images of them burning a giant wooden owl in in the middle of the woods. Why not? You know, I would like to see something crazy like that actually be true for once, and not just being led on, I suppose.
yeah.
You know, it would open up the possibility for, yes, even more conspiracy theories, reasonable ones, but even more crackhead unreasonable ones to come out of the woodworks. So Which honestly, those are the best ones, I think. Like, like the flat Earth and the Hitler ice wall. That's obviously not true. Obviously not true. But it. You can't not talk about it because it's so out there. It's so funny.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I feel like as far as these theories go, you have Alex Jones, which is S tier, and then you've got like what you're saying, the flat earthers, the people just smoking weed that don't know what they're talking about. And then way down below my desk, you've got just normal people where they operate. And I
Hmm.
think Alex Jones is S tier,
Hmm.
S plus plus tier.
Yeah.
And I think right below it, pretty close there is the flat earth theory.
Hmm. Yeah. 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 The flat Earth, not flat Earth. The conspiracy theory side of life is a weird one.
Yeah, for sure. And another one, and maybe now's not the time, so we can change the topic if you want, because I don't think either of us have actually looked into it. But the moon landing.
Oh my god.
So the biggest one that I hear people bring, the biggest point that I hear people bring up with this is look at the flag.
Hmm.
Why is the flag still like it looks like it's just sitting there in
Hmm.
space? Like there's no wind blowing it. And that's where like, at first I thought about that, but then I heard someone say it's freaking outer space. Like there's no atmospheric forces, like there's no wind. Like
Yeah.
why would it be blowing? Like
Uh-huh.
that's what it would be doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about that?
That that was exactly what I was thinking the entire time. Like, why would it be blowing? You're in
Right.
space. No. I Back to the flat earthers. They think that the moon landing was fake, of course. They think that
Yeah.
everything is fake and the moon landing is one of them. And they think that like I saw this one Channel 5 video where the interviewer went to a flat earth convention and one of the guys that he was interviewing there was talking about how actually it was a full on rap song that this guy was making about how the earth is flat and the moon landing is fake. And he's like rapping, and honestly, it was actually pretty good, but the content is a bit questionable. So, um, he was talking about how like there are green screen glitches, and you can see the air bubbles on the spacewalk missions, and as if they're like underwater or something. But uh,
Mhm.
it it happened, guys. I think it happened.
All right. So I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Why haven't we gone back?
Uh, I don't know.
I don't know. That's just a common thing I hear.
No, I don't. I honestly don't know. I didn't actually know that we haven't gone back at all since then.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, if there was one, I would say, and I don't believe any of it, but if there was one piece of evidence that I would say is convincing, it would be that. If we like, why wouldn't we have gone back?
Mm-hmm.
And like you can argue that what for what purpose, but like okay, why do we do anything? Like for research. Like why go in the first place then? Why are we trying to get to Mars? Are we just going to go to Mars once? Like no, you're going to go a bunch of times. So that would be like I said, I don't believe any of it, but the only piece of convincing like in my mind, like oh, I guess that's like valid. Why haven't we gone back? And maybe it's just not worth going back. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe like they landed and they're like,
Well, this blows.
yeah, this is it, huh? Collect some dirt for the scientists back at home. All right, let's go.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's the only like one thing that like really like if I was to question it at all, that's my one thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, have you got caught up on Mandalorian season 3 yet?
I finished it. I did.
Nice, nice. Um,
Oh,
I will say that my disappointment with season 3 is immeasurable. I did not like it really. Um, yeah, I just feel like they have a real problem with setup and payoff. Like at the end of season 2, everything was set up. Like maybe we would have gotten an actual duel between like Mando and Bo-Katan, and like Mando would have had to gone through a whole season without Grogu, and then reunited at the end of season 3 instead of in the that other show. Um, but yeah, I didn't like it. I felt like that the ending was rushed. The finale was a bit rushed. It felt it felt a lot like the Rise of Skywalker, which I forgot to ask you about last time, and we're gonna get to that this time. Trust me. But so, and what I mean by that is specifically with like the cloning of Moff Gideon. Like, I felt like we've been led to believe that the cloning was for Snoke or goddamn Palpatine and not Moff
Yep.
Gideon, because why? At least to my knowledge, why would I expect Moff Gideon to be cloning himself? I haven't seen or noticed any clues anyway to him himself being cloned until like the last 3 episodes or whatever. So that kind of came out of nowhere, and then now all of his clones are dead, and he had this like badass suit for like 5 minutes or something,
Yeah.
and then he's lit up on fire and supposedly dead. And here's the best part, right? His base was in Mandalore the entire time. The entire time. So,
Yep.
uh,
And guess what? The people, the Mandalorians that were there on their little ship thing, skiff, whatever it is, they had no idea.
I know.
They've been there the whole time and they had no clue.
And then like when they're like running through the, it was so weird because they're like running down throughout Mandalore, and then all of a sudden they turn a corner and they're in the hallway of Moff Gideon's like complex. They're wait, what? Huh? Is this show being for real right now? There was like there was some build up, like, yeah, the mines below are very dangerous, but I never ever thought that he would like that is how that would end up playing out. Um, and then forgive me if I'm like missing something, but there was, I don't think it was a post credit scene, but kind of like a little snippet after the whole episode. One of them, I don't remember which one it was, but the X-wing pilot, the Ranger, I forget his name. He was like flying around in space, and he comes across one of those Imperial shuttles, and he notices that it's like destroyed, and there's some Beskar in there, and like that kind of seemingly went nowhere, I think.
Yeah, that happens, I think it's like episode 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a little bit before that Moff Gideon is, it's actually a little before all that. So you're kind of they're I think they're trying to lead you to believe that it's the other Mandalorians, the one that Bo-Katan kind of goes and she, for whatever reason, they're just chilling on Jack Black's world. and and she goes and she has this fight with the leader, which again, like, I just feel like the entire premise of the show was always meant to be, in the beginning 2 seasons anyways, especially in the first, was meant to be, and I believe I'm kind of jumping around, but I believe who's the main guy that made the show?
Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau. He loves spaghetti westerns, and so that was what the whole thing was supposed to be based on, was a spaghetti western.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it couldn't have gotten more away from that in season 3.
Yeah.
Season 3, like you said, at least give us like an epic battle between Mando and Bo-Katan, where she takes the dark saber and she wins it fair and square. But no, it's like, well, Mando just kind of out of nowhere. Well, she saved me, so at the last moment possible, I'm just gonna. all it doesn't mean anything to me. It's like a piece of crap. No, it's like it's a really cool weapon
Mm-hmm.
that anyone would love to hold. Like anyone, even if you don't respect it, like it's a freaking cool thing. So I just think that they have Star Wars in general right now, as far as their movies and TV shows, they have a problem. Like you're saying, it's the setup and the delivery of really anything. I would say season two, they did a great it was yeah, season two. They did a great job with spoiler alert, Luke coming in and saving the day, and I think that was a really emotional moment for the community because after the Last Jedi, everybody kind of just really doubted Luke Skywalker in general. So bringing him back like actual Luke was really special to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But like you mentioned, Moff Gideon's been there the whole time, baby. He has this secret base and he spreads all this disinformation saying that the mines are really dangerous, man. You better not go down there, man. And there's this cloud of gas that's blocking all the transmissions and it just
You know what would have made his return even better? If someone
what?
said, somehow Moff Gideon returned.
Oh, why didn't they do that? But like that would be great. But I think my biggest, and it's kind of going along with yours, my biggest disappointment of the whole thing, it's like, because that's what it was really leading up to all of season two is, we need to retake Mandalore. We're the Mandalorians, and essentially all of season, we need to go back to our homeland and all this stuff. And then, like you said, you have no idea it's happening until they're down in the caves and you see this very imperial looking corridor.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, I know where this is going. We are watching Star Wars after all. And then like you said, Moff Gideon's suit. Why not save that for season four? Why not do a big build up with Moff Gideon, and he has this badass suit and have this big epic fight at the end of season three. Like you could have done really cool things there,
Mm-hmm.
but it reminded me a lot of the way they supposedly got rid of him, in the fire.
Yeah.
It
Mm-hmm.
reminded me a lot of when Thanos drops a moon on Iron Man. Like, let's just drop a star or a I don't actually know what the ship is called.
Light cruiser.
The a light cruiser on. Let's just drop a light cruiser on his head. He'll die.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything less. And this leads into another trope that I personally hate, and maybe it's just me. But you have this setup, and you have the villain, and then you have the main guy that's supposed to fight him. And maybe that's just my way of thinking. I absolutely hate, and I understand storytelling. Sometimes it has to happen differently, but I hate when they do exactly what they did. Mando is like fighting him and struggling, and then at the last second, the second person jumps in.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be like a mono type thing. That is the Western thing. And if you really are going for that, like don't have Bo-Katan come in at the last minute and then the dark saber gets smashed, and then
Yeah.
like her whole like purpose for living and ruling, Mandalore was the dark saber,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just like that, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
She uses it for a total of maybe 20 seconds, and then
Yeah.
it's gone. I don't know if that bothers anyone else, but that bothers me in TV or shows or movies or whatever you want to call it.
Definitely. Yeah. I had two feelings about when Moff Gideon literally crushed it in his hand. Like, first of all, come on. Second of all, I am like, I have very mixed feelings about it. I feel like, one, I am disappointed it's gone because there's a lot more to do with it. Not just because it looks cool, but because of storyline and like,
Oh yeah.
metaphorical stuff and whatnot. But I'm also very glad because now we don't have to like keep like retconning how the dark saber works
Right.
because that kind of seems like what they're doing. Like they're trying to adapt these things from like the animated shows, and it doesn't seem like they have a good grasp on how to go about it, especially the dark saber. Like it feels like they keep like resetting how it works, and then yeah, they just don't seem to have a good handle on what to do with that part of it. So I'm I'm more so glad that it's gone because that's another kind of contrivance that I don't have to worry about anymore. But again, it went nowhere in the third
Mm,
season at all. So yeah, so why even have it at all if it's just gonna be destroyed in a meaningless way? I think.
right. I think people in general, and I'm speaking for a whole community here, but maybe I'm wrong, but I just think people in general are sick of the quick and I will say painless ending,
Hmm.
just like we got in season 3. I personally am tired of it. Like you have so much, supposed setup and you have to assume that they've had this on paper for at least 2 or 3 years. So is that really the way you're ending this, and I don't know if there's a Mando season 4. I actually don't know. Maybe you can tell me if there's not. But, you have all this on paper and then at the very end you're just going to like, let's just that's not how any of it has functioned up to this point. Every season it doesn't have to function that way. I understand that. But does that make sense what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it
no, I
just
get it.
you have it on paper, dude. Like do something different than just I don't know.
No, I completely understand because I kind of have the same problem with some like movies. Like I think Ant Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is like a very good example of what you're talking about in a different in like the superhero world. Like you have like their spoiler alert, but you know the ant people are going down into the quantum realm, and then like there's again it's like the same problem with like setup and payoff. You're going down there and they're talking about this guy like you have John Murray, is that his name? I don't think it is, but it's one of the Ghostbusters. I think he's in the movie for like 2 minutes. But anyways, he
Okay.
dies after like 2 minutes, so his character is pointless anyway. But yeah, he dies, and and then like you're like, okay, so you have this big name actor who you put in some of the promotions. Again, not all of it, probably because they only had him in for that amount of time to begin with. But still, you have this big name actor and he dies in the same scene that you introduce him in. And then all the characters in the quantum realm are talking about Kang like he's like John Wick. He's a man of pure fucking resilience, mate. But no, he's just like kind of a. I mean, honestly, Kang is the best part of that movie, I think. But anyway, at the end, it's the same problem with like setup and payoff. First of all, Ant Man. There's nothing that makes this Ant-Man movie different from other like Marvel properties. Like you could easily stake Iron Man in the place of Ant-Man and it wouldn't make a difference. So like, at the very end, you're at this big climactic battle for the universe, the world, of course, cuz why wouldn't it be? And
Right.
it kind of reminds me of Mando season 3 because the climax of the show kind of came out of nowhere too. And I think that's a problem with like mainstream movies and shows and stuff is that they're like just rushing to get to this climax that they need more time to get to. That's kind of what happened with the Rise of Skywalker. Also, they didn't know what to do with the movie, so um, somehow Palpatine returned, and Rey Skywalker, and Ben Solo, and all of this stuff. Oh, and Luke has been training Leia for some time, and it's just God, just
Yeah.
slow down. Yeah, like Mando season 3 needed to take its time. It
Yeah.
needed its time and it did not get it. Like some of the shots look cheap, very cheap. Especially at the end of that Jack Black Lizzo episode when, Bo and Mando are walking to the other Mandalorians. Like they're obviously on like a soundstage green screen or something because it just doesn't the foreground does not match with the background, and it's just obvious stuff like that like these million probably $1 billion corporations and
Billion.
like
Yeah.
yeah, like seriously you shouldn't be cutting corners on stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, right. And I think, it to them, I think they are just like, let's get the movie out. It's not perfect, all this stuff. But like one C or D movie when you have a bunch of like S tier movies, it's not gonna affect the brand that much. But I think what they're forgetting, and I think what they count on and what they forget is that they will always have people that will come back, because it's Star Wars, because it's, the MCU. But they also don't take into account how many people are gonna watch Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and never watch another Marvel movie.
Hmm.
Not because it wasn't a Marvel movie, because it wasn't any good. And what people are saying about it is it's true. Like I think that they're definitely falling off with, what they've done. If you look at, phase one of the MCU is all about setup. Phase two is about execution, and then phase three is about like wrapping it all up with a nice little bow on top. But phase one was what, 10 years, 8, no, 6 years, 7 years. I don't know exactly. It was X amount of years where they set something up and they allowed it to boil, they allowed it to marinate, and then they finished it. And I think that's great. I don't have many complaints about uh, the MCU phases 1 through 3, and I don't think there's much to complain about,
Hmm.
because I think they got that principle. And it was, and it's weird to say that, 15 years ago when it started or whatever it was such a different time, but I think it truly is such a different time. And like you were describing, they want their setup and their payoff to all happen in the same movie, and you can't do that in most cases. There are some cases you can probably do that, but I don't believe you can do it effectively in 2.5 hours with such a big like a comic movie. Like there's so much lore and stuff behind it. Like I don't think you can effectively do that.
Hmm. Yeah, one movie that I saw recently was Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which I think is a perfect example of what you should do in a comic book movie these days. Have you seen that yet?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to,
Okay.
but I hopefully I'll see it before our next podcast.
Or I will keep it spoiler free then. But it's the setup and payoff is definitely there where it's been lacking in quite a few projects that Marvel has had recently. And most importantly, it has a very tight knit emotional story tied to it too. It's with like Ant Man, I had like no emotional ties to it really. Um,
Mm.
I didn't really feel anything when like oh no, this side character is getting captured again. Oh no, looks like Ant Man's gonna have to save him, but there's okay. I don't want to go on a tangent about Ant Man theory, but okay, so the first two Ant Man movies were very special because they had villains and areas where only Ant Man can
Mm.
perform. Only Ant Man can shrink down into this little space and go and do whatever, and only Ant Man can get this big and put this boat on shore. But in Quantumania, there's none of that. There's absolutely
Mm.
none of that. Um, like I said, you could stick Iron Man or Groot in there, and the movie wouldn't really change. But but yeah, Guardians 3 is man, such an awesome movie. I think Marvel generally has good projects. I think most of their projects have been okay. Like Black Panther was good. Spider Man, of course, was great. Shang Chi, I don't hear a lot of people talking about Shang Chi, but that was a good movie, I think.
I
And
liked that one. Yeah.
Doctor Strange was kind of messy, but it was fun. Some of the shows were, but yeah, I think that they just they just need to kind of streamline what they're doing because like I said last week, they're going to this conclusion with Kang, and now their main actor is like possibly facing jail time now. So, man, just jeez, I would not want to be a writer in one of those Marvel rooms right now.
Oh no. Yeah, no, definitely not. But that's good. See, I like the Guardians franchise, and I've heard really good things about the third one. I've trying to stay spoiler free, and so far I've done a good job. But I'm excited about that one, and I'm glad too that they're ending it with a bang, because I think it's one of their, going before the first one came out, I knew nothing about Guardians of the Galaxy. I'd never heard of them before,
Me either.
but they definitely stand out at this point in the whole MCU.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that like the Guardians, even though like James Gunn is gone now, I think that it'll be like, one of their best properties that they have is the Guardians. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, man.
Were you gonna say something?
No, no.
So, Rise of Skywalker. We've never officially talked about it on here. So,
Yeah.
here's what I'll say first off. I give Rise of Skywalker the props that it deserves, and I feel like it deserves a little, because it had to clean up a giant dumpster fire of a mess as far as the story.
Hmm.
And that's as far as I'll go to give it props. But I feel like there's only so much you can do after a movie like The Last Jedi.
Hmm. Yeah.
There's only so many directions you can take that.
Hmm.
I think bringing Palpatine in, Papa Palp's back at the last minute, and oh, surprise, he's a clone. Wow, more clones. Oh, and by the way, Snoke was a clone too. Wow, you never saw that
Yeah.
one coming, did you? And I just think it's lazy writing.
Hmm.
It's poor, like it's just so, oh, nobody wants to see that happen. But it did have to clean up after The Last Jedi, and I'm never gonna stop saying that. Like
Hmm.
that is I will die with that on my tombstone. Like it did have to clean up after The Last Jedi.
Yeah. I think that whole Disney trilogy was doomed from the get go because I think that they just repeated A New Hope pretty much with The Force Awakens. Like, I mean, I but in terms of the Rise of Skywalker, it's when I went and saw it, it was okay. I don't want to sound too modest here, but it was in all lowercase better than what I thought it would be. Um, it when I watched it, it's a decent like popcorn movie, or like
Yeah.
if you're like cleaning up the house, you can turn it on in the in the living room on the TV. It's whatever. Um, but yeah, I think the visuals, luckily, unlike Mandalorian, the visuals stayed pretty high tier, so I give them props for that. Star Wars movies, I don't think, newer Star Wars movies, I don't think ever really missed the mark in that department. They all look very good, but yeah, the story, however, somehow Palpatine returned. uh, yeah, it's what were they thinking? Okay, so I don't understand. Did they seriously have to go the Avengers Endgame route of having everyone show up at this place that, mind you, was previously said that you couldn't get to without a certain device? And then, which like the first half of the movie was about, and then everybody shows up, and then of course they literally copy almost word for word, "I am all the Jedi." No, I am all the Sith. And it's just whatever, man. I and then the best part, the seasoning on the top. Rey on Tatooine with her new lightsaber.
Oh, what's your name, Missy? I'm Ray. Ray Skywalker.
Yeah.
Don't mind me. I'm just gonna bury these relics here that are like the most priceless things in our universe. But
Hmm.
I'm just gonna bury them in the sand. Because if there's one thing Anakin Skywalker loved and he would want his lightsaber buried in, it's sand.
Oh yeah, it's it's rough and it's messy and it gets everywhere. Yeah.
Including my lightsaber.
Um, man, which, by the way, how did that little small person find that thing? Like, you
Yeah.
he just. I'm not even gonna get into that. All right.
Are you talking about Anakin's lightsaber? How,
Yeah,
what's her name?
Finn gets a
Moth
hold of
or
it
whatever.
in the Force
Yeah.
Awakens, and then, even though it fell from Cloud City, whatever. It's your
flat
turn.
Earth, man. It's just gonna come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I feel like it's another great example. So going back to I'm gonna go rewind right back to the start of this whole conversation. You said essentially that, and I'm spacing on your actual words, but the whole trilogy was doomed from the start when J.J. Abrams only signed on for the first one and not all three of them.
Yep.
You cannot, I'm sorry, but you cannot do a trilogy of any kind with three different actors. I mean, okay, they didn't know, maybe they knew he was going to do two of the three, but you can't have two different directors on anything and expect to go the same direction with it. Like, it just blows my mind that they weren't like, hold up, wait a minute. Nope, 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 no, 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 no. We're not gonna risk our billion-dollar franchise on this fact that you're going to be filming Star Trek rather. Like, let's either go with someone else or let's put the project on hold until you're done with that one, and then we really want you to do this. So for me, that was the moment that it was doomed, in my personal opinion. Is you throw someone else in there, I would like to know what direction the Rise of Skywalker, maybe that wouldn't even be the name, I don't know, would have gone had The Last Jedi not happened. Because the way I see it is, I don't know how long it is. It's like a 3-hour movie ish. The first 2.5 hours of the movie, 2 hours to be generous, are cleaning up all the plot points that The Last Jedi just left hanging. You've got to, and forgive me, I haven't actually watched it in a while, but you have to clean up all these different things. Like, I think at the last Jedi, the last thing was like, Rey, you're a nobody. Like, you're a nobody. And like, okay, you can say he was just messing with her head, but then, like, you got to go back in. Like, that was a big thing in The Force Awakens, is like, you're somebody. Like, I want to find out who my parents are, and then to like just throw that out, you're a nobody. You're just essentially a nobody. Like, you don't matter. And then and then they bring it back in the Rise of Skywalker. Like, oh, you're actually Palpatine's son, who's actually his clone, and you are somebody, and they did love you, and they left you here because he knew that his dad, who's actually himself, who cloned himself, is going to be coming after him and his wife because they didn't believe like the rest of the Palpatines did. It's just so convoluted and so like, what were you expecting people to walk out of the theater thinking with that? Like, and I think it, I'm taking it back to my, to the paper. Like, how long have you had that on paper and you were okay with that?
Yeah.
Like, how long have you had that on paper and nobody was like, let's not do that, because that kind of sucks, and that kind of, everything that we do in the second of the three movies, we're gonna have to fix in the third. Maybe they didn't know that, but like, why break everything in the second movie? I don't know. I will never stop hating The Last Jedi. I can't think of one positive moment in that entire movie, personally.
Yeah.
Besides the graphics, like, it's a beautiful movie in certain aspects. The opening scene where the ship jumps into light speed and cuts the other one, and it looks cool.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean anything.
No.
Because it's a crappy movie.
Which, by the way, that whole like sequence between like them, whatever, the Jurassic Park lady and Moon Knight, I forget their fucking actor's name, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
That whole like plot was like boring for a Star Wars movie. Like, come on now. We're going back into like episodes 1 and 2 territory with like Senate hearings and talking and not doing a lot.
Negotiations.
Yeah, negotiations. Um, yeah. I don't know.
And another point that I love to hate on
Hmm.
with The Last Jedi is in that opening sequence. They're in space, right? Like we can all agree that Star Wars, 90% of it takes place somewhere where there's no atmosphere, right? There's no air.
I know where you're going. Yep.
Yeah, and I think anyone with half a brain cell knows where I'm going. But it was because what was his name? The director, The Last Jedi,
Ryan Johnson.
Rian Johnson. It's because Rian Johnson really, really, really likes World War II movies, and he thinks that World War II bombers are awesome. So let's set up this whole scene in outer space where they have an open ship where people have to go in and manually set up the bombs to drop. And this person falls all the way down out into outer space. But don't worry, they fall on like a rail or something. And then they have to like climb back up or whatever the heck happens. I don't remember. The dumbest, like, he thinks we're stupid is what it really boils down to. Like, wait a minute, we're not in space? Are we on? Like, it just to me, it's such a slap in the face as like a fan of anything. Like, you don't think that we're gonna notice that? And like, yes, I know 99% of Star Wars isn't possible and it's not real and it's all fictional, but at least like stick with the basic facts of reality. But I don't know.
No, I agree.
Like I said, I will never stop hating that movie. And Luke's milk.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, this Luke Skywalker, man. That's our
And
Luke
Luke, yeah.
Skywalker right there. Who we all have been waiting 30 years to see. Hell yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the whole movie was just a gut punch to the community. Like, I think it was meant to be disrespectful, and it was meant. I think Rian Johnson I think he likes controversy. I think he likes to get people talking about his movies. People applaud Knives Out. I haven't actually seen it. I don't know if you have.
It's a great
Being
movie.
a great movie,
Yeah.
and that's cool. But
Maybe
what happened to
just-
Star Wars?
yeah.
Like that will forever be overshadowed in my mind by what you did to Star Wars. I don't care what you do after that or before that. So.
Well, like, I remember him talking about it, like, before or after release. I don't quite remember, but he was talking about how his goal was to subvert the audience's expectations at, like, every single turn. So, there
Good
you
job.
go. Yeah, good job. You did it, but nobody likes it. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and I think subversion has a place in media. Like it definitely does.
Hmm.
It has its place for storytelling, but not everything you do in the entire movie. Like the movie itself shouldn't be a subversion of everyone's expectations.
Hmm.
But no, I think I'm done talking about Star Wars. It's putting me in a bad mood.
I agree. Okay. So, I will ask you a question then.
All right.
What was your worst job that you have ever had?
All right. So my worst job, little bit of background about me. I've probably mentioned this. I'm from a super small town. The only jobs you can have as a teenager in my town are you get on one of the farms and you're a farmer, or you're lucky enough to work at like the grocery store, or there's really nothing else. There's like one convenience store, one grocery store. That's pretty much it. So you're really just on the farm. Well, on the farm and the area where I live, they grow a lot of potatoes. And oh man, it's honestly hard to explain, but there is a machine you hook up to the back of a tractor, and you have a guy in the tractor, and then you have someone riding, they called it the potato drill. And on the back of the drill there is like not railing, but like metal that has been welded onto the back of it so you can walk around the back. And then you have 4 giant bins. They're probably like, I don't know, 5 by like 4 feet wide and deep. And what they will do is they will load that up with potatoes. And the way they do it is they slice all the potatoes up. There's like a machine that will slice them all up. And, anyways, the potato drill does what it sounds like, and it drills it into the ground. Well, what my job was, being this young, dumb teenager, and I'm probably, there's a lot of actually cancer associated with farmers that have been in dust and all this stuff. Not knowing that when I was a teenager, and the farm not caring or whatever, because they just got to get the job done. My job was to stand on the back of this tractor, which I didn't have a problem with. I thought it was cool at the time, but I look back now and I'm like, why did I do that? Because as it's going, the dirt has to be really dry, and like they till it really fine, so it's just a really fine dust. So as the tractor's going over it and as the drill goes down, it kicks up a lot of dust. And so my job was to, all day from sun up to sundown, stand on the back of this thing and make sure that there's a little, it's like a conveyor type thing with a little, it's almost like a little like plastic. It's not plastic, it's a hard plastic that will scoop up one potato and it will take it down and it will drill it into the ground. My job was to stand on that all day and make sure they were all working and nothing was broken, because that's a big, like, their whole field, if one of those gets broken, there's a big line of like no potatoes, basically, which is a huge like waste of everything they're doing. It's a waste of water, and it's all about efficiency. But by the end of the day, I would be just completely covered in dust. And my first day doing it, I didn't know, I wasn't told to bring goggles, bring like a bandana or anything. And so my first day, I just come home and I am completely covered in dust. Like, you could have beat me against the wall and there just would have been an imprint of me just in dust. Like, it was cartoonish. Like, you look at cartoons where they're just like completely covered in dust, and that was me. All you could see, I remember going into the bathroom, all you could see, like, of my actual like face or skin or whatever you want to say, it was my eyes. And the rest of it was just a thick, probably about a quarter of an inch of just dust.
Wow.
Terrible job for weeks after. And the worst was inside my ears, because all that dust just would go in. I would take a Q-tip and like try to clean out my ears, and for weeks after I would find dirt and dust.
Wow.
Just a terrible job. There's a reason they give it to teenagers. Like I said, there's cancer associated with it, so I'll probably end up getting cancer or something later on down the line in my life. But that is the worst job I've ever done. And I think there's a lot of jobs like that they give to teenagers because they don't know, like, well, you don't have to do this. Like, just go do something else. Like, that's a terrible job. It's not good for you. It's I was raised on the farm, so like the danger part of it never really occurred to me, because you're just like, you just do it, you'll be fine.
How long were you there for?
Harness all day. They work 12-hour days, so probably about 7 to 7. I was on the back of the tractor. Or you mean how long did I work there?
Yeah.
8 years, I think.
Oh, wow.
Like that. So like, it wasn't always that job, but that was the worst like aspect of working there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I needed money, and there was quite literally nothing else I could have done.
Yeah.
I would have been smart. I would have started, making YouTube videos or something, but I wasn't smart. So definitely the worst job I've ever done.
Yeah. That like dust like getting in your ears reminds me of when I was a little kid. This doesn't have to do with work, but when my dad raced cars a lot on he still does. He races on a quarter mile or half a mile, maybe, like a dirt track. And at the time, I didn't know that bringing goggles would be a good idea, or like, something for my glasses. So I would always get like dirt in my eyes and sometimes like in my ear. And like, when I get home, I just wipe off a layer of it. Yeah, I mean, it was fun, so it didn't really matter. But yeah.
Yeah. At least that was cool. I mean, at least that sounds cool. I just sat in a big dust cloud for 12 hours watching race cars. I'll have to find a video of like a similar setup, and if I can find a similar setup. It's pretty redneck.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, there was a joke. It was always, "Is this OSHA approved?" And it definitely
Oh.
wasn't OSHA approved.
Good Lord.
But that's just the way things got done.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Do you have a worst job?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I do. My worst job was also my first in quotes. It was my first official on the books job. I I had a job with one of my cousins when I was like 14 or 15, but like, I wasn't like officially with them because they were doing construction and you couldn't hire a minor. So um so yeah, but I'm not gonna count that. But my first official job was my worst job. It was at a Best Western hotel. I don't know if I've told you about it before, but I have been very vocal about how terrible it was there. I was there for about 2 months, maybe, and my first day, I get there, and there are already customers complaining about how bad the service is at in their rooms. And mind you, this hotel isn't like an enclosed one. It's like a rectangle, and like all of the rooms are outside. It's 2 stories. All of the doors go outside. So
Okay.
so I apply for this job for like I think it was. This is another thing. They lied about my pay. I thought I was being paid $12.50, and I was being paid $12, and so. But at this time, I think I'm being paid $12.50. So I'm like, all right. They seem like they need the help, so why not? And I needed a job because my mom was out of work, so I had to kind of be the main force behind our income here.
Yeah.
I should have gotten a job at like McDonald's or something though for like $15 an hour, just something that could pay a little bit more, and that was not as dreadful. Good Lord, that job was dreadful. So let's start digging into it. So my first day, I realized that my trainer is not the best trainer. She had previously hired about a week or two before me, someone who was very experienced in housekeeping, which is what I was doing. I was a housekeeper, cleaning rooms and general grounds maintenance, helping the maintenance guy when he needed it. So, which, by the way, I did not know when I first got there. I was unaware that I would be helping the maintenance guy, but there I was. So, so they're like, oh yeah, and also our maintenance guy needs some help. Go help him like the first hour, and then go to housekeeping. So that's what I did. This guy, the receptionist called him Mr. Clean because he was a big bald guy with a shiny head. So why not? So yeah, this guy all. So like the first time he's like, all right, so here's some like I don't know like thing like tweezer things that you used to like pick up trash into a bucket. Here's this in a bucket. Walk around the property and pick up the trash every morning. I do that and come back. He's like, all right, I'm gonna show you the pool. I look at the pool and it's like filled. It's filled with like leaves from a palm tree and like bark from a palm tree because there's a palm tree like right in between the building. There's the palm tree. There's the pool, and and I don't know what you call it, a monsoon came over like the previous day or so, and then a bunch of stuff blew into the pool. So he's like, all right, here you go, take this net, get all of that out. I did that, and then now it's time yeah, now it's time to go do housekeeping. So the memories are all coming back at once. I'm trying to process what was to say first. So I go do housekeeping. I go to my trainer, and by the way, her face turns into a tomato within like 2 seconds of talking to her. She'll be angry with how her husband is and how her son is like, in jail, and her ex-husband and her son's father are also in jail, and her face is getting redder and redder, and there's a big vein in her forehead. And like she was just like complaining about everything. And then she's like, okay, I have something else to do. I know you're new here, this is your first job, but there's this other guy that I hired, right? He's pretty kick-ass. He's gonna teach you what to do. And she puts me on this guy, and he's, at first I thought he was a nice guy, and we kind of start talking to each other. We have kind of a similar like taste in music and whatnot. And now I'm learning from this guy, this other employee who was hired not even 14 days ago, who supposedly has a lot of experience. We'll get to that later, though. He teaches me the ropes, kind of like the essentials, while he sits there on his phone talking to whoever. And so at the end of the day, I thought, all right, sure, I can work with this. It wasn't that bad. Boy, was I in for a treat. The next like 6 to 8 weeks that I was there it was the most drama-filled work environment I have ever been in. It was just one day there's someone complaining about having towels in their room. The next day there's a guy pacing back and forth to the mall and back, which is like in like the next parking lot over. He's going to the mall and back, and then now he's yelling about how there's a laundry cart in front of his room, because he's on the bottom floor, and when we're on the top floor, we throw the laundry over the edge into the cart instead of having to bring one upstairs. So
Right.
So he's complaining about all of this, and then my boss, the person who's supposed to be training me, comes out, and she starts picking a fight with this guy instead of just moving it, and they're like in like a shouting match. And then she goes to the main office, to the general manager, the person who like constructs all of our shifts and schedules and whatnot. And then the manager is like, well, he's the customer, why don't you move it? So she goes out and moves it, and then she comes upstairs to me where I'm cleaning the room, and she's like, did you hear that guy? I think he's probably the guy that has a gun or something. He sounds crazy. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, all right, whatever. I'll just smile and nod. I don't want to get involved in that. I don't want you yelling at me like that. So all right, whatever you say.
Right.
But yeah, we were back to like it being the worst job though. I have more stories than I really should from this place. But like in terms of like the actual work though, where do I even start? Okay, so like the cleaning equipment, they never had my size of gloves. Never. Maybe for like the first 2 weeks. So like, I'm dealing with like chemicals and stuff to clean everything, and I never have the gloves that I need. And I'm starting to get like a rash on my hand, and I'm like, okay, I can't do this without like large gloves. There's like XL, but it's massive. And then there's small, which it doesn't fit me at all. So that was one part that I definitely hated. And then there were a couple occasions where there was cockroaches running around, like in the rooms sometimes, and then also just out on the concrete walkways. That's another thing. So when I was doing like the work for the maintenance guy one morning, he's like, all right, there is just a ton of stains all over the cement in the sides of the building, like below the windows and like on the little slab that sticks out below the windows. You're going to clean all of that. You haven't been here in Arizona for more than 6 months. You've been living in a cold climate all your life. It's 100 degrees outside, so you're going to work outside all day scrubbing this with a hose and a big scrubber. So like 20 minutes into it, I'm like, I cannot do this. So I go to the general manager and I'm like, I cannot keep like doing this work for like the maintenance guy anymore because I'm just not built for this kind of work. I've been playing video games for the last decent amount of my life, and I've stayed inside most of it. And I've been in Washington, and now I have to be out in this excruciating weather and scrub down the sidewalk. So they're like, all right, you're going to have to come in an hour later then, to only do housekeeping. So that's what I did. The maintenance guy did not speak a word to me after that. The entire time I was there, not a word, nothing. He didn't even look at me after that. He was just done with me. So now I was a full-time housekeeper, and the room, there was this one room, that, and I really should have dug up the pictures because I still have them, but there was this one room where I walked in and there was dog hair all over the carpet. I tried vacuuming it. It didn't come off, and it reeked of weed. Just reeked. Like, it didn't even smell good. It smelled terrible. And there was trash everywhere. The sheets were like, the room was turned upside down. And they had to shut down the room because none of us could clean it. It was that bad. So they shut down the room, and room 25 probably still out of service. So that was honestly, I am very thankful for that job though, because I do have a lot of stories to tell. Because it was, even though it was bad, it was a very fun experience.
Was there sorry if I'm interrupting, but was there anyone there that like made it worth working there, or were you kind of just alone, like everyone else was insane, you're the only rational person?
Yeah, there was fuck's sake. So there was the receptionist who I did have a crush on. She was at the time like 5 years older than me. I was like 18, she was 23. And then I'm like, okay, so I want to like get to know you. And then come to find out, she had a husband who passed away and 2 kids left from it. So I'm like, I don't know. I'll see what happens, I guess. So like she was just kind of like a fun personality, I guess. Yeah. Everyone else though, absolutely not. Okay, so like kind of going the opposite route. Like easily the worst person there was this guy named Nathaniel. He's the one who trained me instead of my trainer. But he was there anyway. So he was like, "Oh yeah, we should totally hang out, man. Like totally. I am free all the time. Here's my Instagram, just text me whenever." Never responds. We never hung out, by the way. I gave him a ride home once and he left a 2-liter of like 7-Up in my car. Never drank it, but so so this guy was so weird. Like he had supposedly all this experience with cleaning rooms, and then this one time he cleans a room, he leaves a bit early for the day, and the receptionist gets a call, and it's about how the room has a sheet that has a massive red stain on it, and it's because this guy the entire time has not been changing any sheets. He's just been flipping them upside down and then tucking them back in the entire time.
Oh.
So so he doesn't get a lot of flack for that from like the management because there's so little of us there. Like
Yeah.
literally by the end of my employment, I had quit because I learned that they like flaked out on my pay and the job generally sucked. I needed a new one. So, like literally on the last day, it was me and the lady that was supposed to be training me doing rooms. That was it. And there's like 80 rooms there. So we did like 50 in a day. You know, I was doing bathrooms, she was doing the front half of the room. And I mean, yeah, we knocked it out pretty decently, I'd say, but God, I can't imagine the day after that though. God
Wow.
damn. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I feel like that's every like person that goes to a hotel's worst nightmare is getting that guy that cleaned their room.
Yeah.
Because I've been in them where I'm like, there's no way this is a clean sheet. And we've got clean sheets set up, and it's just their sheets. Like the sheets are terrible. Like for whatever reason, they haven't bought new sheets in the last like 15 years or whatever. But that is everyone's actual. My wife, that's actually her worst nightmare is going to a hotel and not having clean sheets because it's like it's disgusting. Like you don't know who has slept in that. That's so disgusting. That's bad. Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna try to find some images here because
Okay.
I need to show them.
So going along with that, and you can answer when you're done there. Was there a walkout moment? Like the moment you knew you're like, that's it, F it, I'm done at this place. I don't give a I'm done. Or was it always just like, yeah?
It was like a culmination of moments because there are some things that I didn't mention that I have here in the photos that oh, that's a good one. That like it's just a culmination of stuff. Okay. Yeah. It's just a culmination of poor management and like what I am about to bring up here in a minute. Homeless people leaving their belongings on the property, and the and like the employees just like generally not not really caring. Yeah. It was just a very poor experience. That I that just kind of left me wondering why I stayed there as long as I did. So, yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, you'll have to show some pictures. What you can show.
Yeah.
No, I was just wondering because um
Those are just
I don't know.
yeah. Okay. All right. Here we go. Here are some of the images here. As you guys can see, it is this picture that we're looking at right now is a photo of a homeless person's belongings that were just left underneath the stairs of the place. Yeah, there it is. This picture right here with all of the laundry on the floor in the hotel room was a picture of. Well, I took a picture of this because a housekeeper just piled it there and then left. That's all that they did. They piled it there and left, and then that was the end of that. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, that's a good one. That's not really what it's not really like rotated well, but anyway, yeah, that is a bin that well, like I said before, that's like the bins that you would put out below and then people would throw it down from the second floor. Well, obviously they missed a bunch and never picked it up. This one is honestly my favorite. It's a picture of a woman's bra and some Fireball left and some messy sheets. So I'll also leave you with that. This one is the good old laundry room, ladies and gentlemen. The laundry room, the laundry room was always like this. Always. It's because we never had someone doing laundry. It was always like this. It's just stacked to the brim because we didn't have a laundry person, and like my boss would end up having to go to do the laundry on top of doing the rooms. So, or like the receptionist would have to. That is seemingly a vibrator in the trash. There's a cockroach outside the door of one of the rooms, and there's the homeless people's belongings again. So yeah, that's some fun stuff. Some fun stuff.
And can I just add that I think you probably have it a little worse where you're at, but that is a massive cockroach.
Yeah.
Like, people don't understand how big cockroaches get in the American region that we live in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. At that place, they were massive. Luckily, I only saw like one or two. So, but still, that's one or two too many. So,
He's kind of meaty. He's got some girth to him.
oh yeah.
And
Yeah, that was a fun time at that job. Fun time.
well, talking about that, and I'm gonna kind of leave it on a hanger here because I don't have enough time left tonight
Mm-hmm.
to talk about. Because as you were saying that, I completely, and maybe it's because I was blocking it out, but I completely forgot about my most recent job and how bad it honestly was.
Oh yeah.
Like when you said worst job, the farm one popped into my head, but I think I might have one to top it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have enough time to tell all the stories. So I'm gonna table that for the time being. But some similar stuff that you talked about there, I will touch on with my job.
Okay. And which one is that? That was at the old people home, right?
So
Something like
uh,
that.
to say it like, I mean, it's an old folks home, but they don't really
Yeah.
say it's a senior center or a
No, yeah.
an assisted living is I guess the PC way to say it. But yeah,
Gotcha.
I've got stories on stories. I'll have to write some down because I've got some great ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know
Oh,
too
yeah.
many people who have worked at places like that. For some reason, I know like 3 or 4 people that have worked at like those places.
The thing about working in healthcare is you're either like from my experience, I don't feel like there's any in between. There's three types of people. There's either like the really good people that honestly want to make a difference. They want to help someone, and you hope that everyone that works in healthcare is that way. Or there's like the people that don't care about anything and they're just there for the paycheck. And then they're psychopaths. And unfortunately for me, I worked with too many psychopaths in
Yeah.
my healthcare days.
Well, that sounds like a fun topic to run through then.
Oh man, I've got so many stories. Oh, I'll have to be careful about details. But yeah.
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 All right. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to say?
You know, I don't think I have ever been more productive in my life than talking about the Boogie and Wings of Freedom fight.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely more productive than Star Wars.
Yep. Yeah.
I think that, I think Boogie and Wings of Freedom is the best thing that's happened 2023. That's the crowning moment by far.
Yep. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite subjects. So, all right. Well, if that's all, we're going to end it here. Thank you guys for all the support on the last episode.
Yes, seriously.
Yeah, on my channel anyway, it got like at least 80 views. So, yeah, that's pretty good. So yeah, now it will be on this channel on Couch Co-op. So subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for watching.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. We'll see you in the next one.